second part of the season, Gulf South play starts. I mean, games obviously, every game means something, but these games mean a little bit more.
Yeah, it was good that we played the non-conference the way we played it. Felt like in the preseason that we should be at this point right now, but now you enter the toughest conference in all of Division II, in my opinion. And so, got to be ready to play, got to be ready to come to work every day. Not any different than what we did, but there's a different sense of urgency when you're talking about the Gulf South Conference.
What did you learn about this team during non-conference play that you hope translates, that you need to work on? What did you learn about them?
I learned we can adjust to any situation. Somebody deepens up the safeties, can't throw the ball, we can run it. Somebody brings 11 people, we can throw it. We can play defense to win a game. We can play defense to maintain the lead. The situational work, all the special teams. We got it all in the non-conference season, and I learned we could play with no lights on in the stadium. So we got it all covered.
All right, and Valdosta State's quickly been picking up steam in the rankings. They were just outside the top 25. How do you think your team's been able to manage the expectations as the expectations continue to grow?
Yeah, I'm on the top 25 committee for the AFCA. I don't vote for us. And I think if we do what we're supposed to do, other people will vote for us. And we don't even talk about those things. We're just trying to establish the way that we play in 2023. And hopefully we'll end up at the end of the season where we want to be.
Coach, North Greenville, I mean, they're 2-1 on the year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what about them kind of jumps out at you? What are you going to have to do? They look like they run a pretty balanced offensive attack.
Yeah, what jumps out is the way that they play defense. They play extremely hard. Coach Farrington is the only other defensive-minded head coach in the Gulf South, and so you can tell by the way that his kids go to work and by the way that they play. Offensively, they are balanced, but they've got a receiver that's really explosive. I think he leads the league in receiving. And so we've got to make sure we know where he is, and we got to be fundamentally ready to play. This team is a great fundamental team. We played them a year ago, and we found out firsthand what they can do. And they play extremely hard, so we've got to match and exceed their play in order to get what we want.
You mentioned the defense. I think they're giving up like only 2 touchdowns a game or something. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
But you mentioned that balanced attack that you guys have. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you can't run it, you can throw it. Is that going to benefit you this weekend?
Yeah, I think all of those experiences from the preseason, non-conference season will help us because these guys are going to load the box up. They're going to try to stop you from running it like a defensive-minded coach would want to happen, right? So we've got to be ready to adjust and prepare to adjust when we get to the game because they are so good.
All right, Coach, offensively, you guys have put up some big numbers in the non-conference season. Talk about going into conference play and kind of how you're going to stop a defense that, only allows 14 points a game and, is in the top 3 in defense in the GSE.
Yeah, it's going to be a good test. I think anytime you face somebody who's been this stingy with points per game, obviously it's something that we hope the kids get excited about. You come to a place like this to play in games like this against defenses like this, and we're pretty excited about the challenge. We always talk offensively about routine plays routinely, and regardless of your opponent, that's going to kind of reign supreme.
Last week, you guys threw it all over the field. The week before, you ran it everywhere. Where do you see that, kind of get into the combination of both in a given game? Because it's, point was kind of both, but Albany was all run. Last week was pretty much all pass.
Yeah, I think you try to do whatever the defense takes away, you try to do the opposite, right? I think we try to pride ourselves here at being able to do both. And I think that's something that we've been able to try to accomplish. Whether it's week to week, you're going to try to give yourself the best chance to win the game, and by whatever means that needs to happen.
And Coach, last week, Sammy Edwards, he threw for 479 yards. He's really come along as a passer. But what do you think he needs to improve on to continue to grow and as he continues to
Yeah, the advantage of Sammy is he's still logging a lot of reps. I think he's a guy who's been patient. He's done a really good job trying to pick up the offense mentally. And I think with that, a lot of that comes from the preparation. A lot of people talk about what he does on Saturdays. They don't really see all the time and effort he takes to spend the time away from this place to really prepare mentally for what's asked of him. And I think that's the biggest thing. He's got to keep continuing to take the extra time to prepare mentally to have the success that he's had on Saturday.
Your second year here now, so you've been through this. You've been through a GSE season. You guys have established a lot of new players offensively. So what do you want to see this year in the GSC in terms of from your players offensively with the new guys who've come in the league this year, but also just overall, given that you've been here a year now?
Yeah, I mean, you have a ton of respect for this league. I think as a whole, top to bottom, I mean, there's really no weak points in the league. And you really got to make sure you're prepared week in and week out. And that's something what I'd like to see is a level of consistency and execution. And I think that's something that we can look forward to and we're continuing to harp on in the building. Game
plan for North Greenville last year, guys were down 28-14 at halftime, came out, outscored them 44-9, if I remember right, in the second half. You know, what was the spark at halftime in that particular ball game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's any special sauce. I think we executed a lot better. I think a lot of the stuff that's on the sheet you think is going to be good all week, and then, you know, you make subtle adjustments throughout the game. But above all, you know, we say it all the time here, players win games. I think the players went out last year and had a lot of success, and I look forward to, you know, hopefully getting that same level of execution this year.
And Coach, with the wide receiver play, I had a chance to talk to Counsel Allen after the game last Saturday. He talked about how all the receivers in the receiving room seem to bring different play styles to the offense. So just talk about some of those different play styles and how you've been able to take advantage of them.
Yeah, I think you just look for a diversity of skill set a little bit in your receiver room. You want people that can do different things really well. I think guys have shown the ability to do lots of things really well in that receiver room. Obviously, was pleased with how they played last week. We talked about making plays all week, and I think they took the opportunity to do that when the defense allowed them to. And when you get those chances in the game, you absolutely have to make those plays. But diversity and skill set, I think, is a big part of that. And I think we got guys in there who are really good at different things, and then you try to just scheme different ways to get them to do those things frequently.
All right, Coach, came off a big win this past weekend. What have you seen? How have you seen the defense grow over the first 3 weeks of the season?
I mean, we played pretty well for the most part. Didn't necessarily love last weekend the way that we played, but played harder, a lot faster, and just better understanding of what we're trying to get done.
And how do you think the defense is most improved from a year ago?
A couple things in particular. I would say number one, we're much faster and deeper, but also just there's more buy-in, and they have more understanding of what we're trying to do.
What do you see offensively from North Greenville this week with Dre Williams and Dylan Ramirez, who was there last year? Both were there last year, if I remember right. In terms of how to stop them and stop their offense.
I mean, first and foremost, they're fast. I mean, they have all kinds of speed all over the field, running back, receiver, it's everywhere. They do a good job of formationing people and getting those guys lined up in spots to get them the ball in space. They do a really good job with yards after catch, really as an entire group. It's everybody. It's not just one guy. And, you know, more than anything, you just got to find ways to disrupt rhythm, you know, whether it's through scheme or through technique. And then you got to get all 11 hats to the ball, because if the first guy misses, there needs to be somebody else there.
You talked about defense being faster and everything this year. You guys have gotten to the quarterback a whole lot more this year than you did last year. Last year you had like 11 sacks, if I remember correctly. You guys already have, I believe, 8 or 9
Sure.
this season. What's the difference there, besides the speed? But what's the difference in terms of getting in the backfield and disrupting?
It's twofold. It's never just one thing. You got guys on the back end covering, you got guys on the front end rushing. So some of those are coverage sacks, but a lot of those are just winning a one-on-one on the edge. Defensive end beating a tackle, or an inside guy beating a guard, whatever it may be. But more than anything, just winning some of those one-on-ones. Especially on the edges, I feel like our defensive ends have really done a good job of winning their one-on-one battles, and then we're holding up in coverage as well.
So looking at the defense this year compared to last year, there was a lot of turnover defensively for this year compared to last season. Who's really stuck out to you this season so far in terms of solid play on defense as a newcomer?
Oh wow! I think more than anything, we've sold it to our guys as our biggest strength is strength in numbers. We're playing a lot of different guys rotationally, and we feel like they all can play. That's first and foremost. Really proud of the new corners that we've stepped out there between Kyle Cass, Aaron Stroops. Sean's been here. Ryan Nixon. There's been a good number of guys that have played at linebacker. Whether it's Kennedy Parker, Tyler Moorhead for new guys. There's some old guys there as well. Up front, probably more the edge guys than anything. Just Devon Reeves. Dre Clifton, just to name a few, but there's several. I know I'm leaving several names out, but there's a lot of guys with a lot of speed, athleticism, and they work hard too. They really want to be great, so that goes a long way.